Oh, there you are. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another MoGraph podcast. I'm your host, Matt Milstead, and joining me this week, I'm super excited to have her here. She's one of my favorite artists of all time. I think I say that every time you come on the show, but super excited to hang out and talk to Blake Kathryn. Hello.
Hi. Thank you for having me. You're one of my favorite people to chat with, so this is
Ah,
perfect.
yeah. All right.
And the real ones, there's the TJ cameo in the back.
Hey, TJ.
Yeah,
Hey.
Bigfoot sighting in the back.
That's hilarious. Yeah, but want to give a big shout out to our universal sponsor, Otoy. You know them, you love them. They're the makers of Octane Render and the Render Network. With Octane Render, you can render your frames super fast and super photorealistic. And for all those frames that need an extra little push of power, the Render Network has you covered. You can render your Octane, Redshift, and Blender Cycles frames in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost of other cloud rendering services. And we have just finished up last month's Render Royale. Hopefully you guys got those submissions in. I'm not sure if this is the actual prompt for this month, which is Halloween, but I was listening to their broadcast on X today, and they said Halloween, so we're gonna say it's Halloween. So you got a little bit of an advance notice before they officially announce it. But yeah, that's going to be this month's Render Royale submission. So check that out. What is it? renderfoundation.com/royale. You can get all the information. You can win up to like $1,000 per render engine, which is absolutely fantastic. I love the stuff that they're doing with the community. Speaking of the community stuff that the Render Foundation has been doing, yeah, super excited to have you on the show, Blake, to talk about like the whole big Artech House Render Foundation collaboration that you've been. How long have you been working on this for? Sorry, I'm just like jumping into it. No, like, hey, how you doing? Like little soft talk, whatever. It's just like, here's business. Let's get this done. Oh, actually, sorry. No, before I do that, I remembered I said I need to apologize to everyone for the last episode. It's been like 2 weeks since we've had a show, and you're for those who are like joining live, you're probably like, wait, well, what's going on? Why is it at 5:30 p.m.? I'm changing the time of the show so that because for those who don't know, I got a big boy job. Look at me. Hey, it's super exciting. I'm really excited. So, you know, I'm working normal 7 to 4:30 hours or whatever. So I'm moving the show to more of an evening slot, as well as we'll probably have some slots in the morning at like 7 a.m. Central Time to like get some more of the European crowd, as well as like the Western side, Australian crowd and stuff. I'm excited about that. But yeah, your boy is now working at Artie Van Chewed full time, which is super exciting. I'm very, very excited about it. So yeah, but for those who listened to the last show with EJ, who caught it the week that I released it, I messed up on the editing. I was editing it in my car because I was headed off to Half Res and to Camp MoGraph, and I didn't actually listen to it before I posted it. And I posted his along with Patrick Fordy's layered on top of each other. It has since been fixed a couple weeks ago, but I would like to apologize for those who were like, what is going on? But yeah, we've been doing all this traveling and stuff like that, so we haven't had a show, and like with the new time changes and stuff, I've been lining up guests. Super excited. So thank you. Back to you, Blake. Thank you so much.
Thank you for apologizing.
So
what was the question?
The question was, it was talking about the Render Artech House, because, you know, even though technically I have not been a part of the Artech House stuff, a part of me has, because as a render node operator, you know, there's been, I believe, everyone who was doing artwork was using the network, or was it just like if there was overload it needed, and it's like, or was it like this is to showcase what render can do for our artists and stuff like that?
Yeah, so no one rendered remote. Every single person did the render network. obviously the priority setting, if you're nerdy and know how all of that works. Obviously, depending on your scene complexity, had to get very specific machines so it could actually download your
Yes.
stuff. So all of that was real fun. And then, you know, just testing, and we delivered EXRs, and
Oh.
and yeah, and I believe everyone was 3 minutes even. Some people were 60 FPS, some were 30 FPS.
Ooh.
So mine was 5,400 frames. Uh,
Wow.
and then you can just imagine how fun it is to edit an 18K file in After Effects. That was not slow at all.
No. Yeah.
And one of my GPUs died. I think we talked about it at Camp MoGraph, but I came back and one of my GPUs is definitely croaked.
Well,
and I'm like, great.
If
Like,
it makes
now
you
I'm on
feel
one
better, my machine's running those jobs. One of my GPUs croaked as well.
They're in the afterlife together, holding hands. It's being like this art gallery murdered us both.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy as like a node operator, seeing like it was pretty chaotic for about 3 or 4 weeks. You know, just as node operators being like, these massive scenes are coming through, and it's like my computer would spend 22 hours on one frame, you know, and then send back like 20 gigs worth of files and stuff for one frame. It was pretty insane. I can only imagine what y'all were dealing with on your side.
Yeah, I had to slice up mine into 5 files because it was just my scene was, for once I was like, I instanced everything and everything was optimized. I'm like, wow, I'm like so high poly, low poly at the same time. But my collaborator, because I had a collaborative piece. Oh, nice. TJ's dropping the technical T in the chat, it looks like.
18+ hour compositing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was fun. But my counterpart which is the artist Malavita, who does really beautiful, inky, colorful works. She delivered me 2 32 gigabyte image sequences for me to use as texture. So my files were huge because of the built-in image textures. And I was like, I've never even worked in this level of a nuanced image texture, like being just ingrained before.
Wow.
But I wanted her work to obviously influence the lighting of the scene, even though it's kind of subtle. You can hop through frames and see a big difference over time.
Yeah.
And so it was just this nightmare of being like, oh, I've done 3D so much in my life. Like, I'm over 10 years now. And it's like, but I've never dealt with this level of a file size. And all because they were image sequences.
It's crazy. 32 gig image sequence. So how'd you have to break up? Oh, God.
So 64.
I'm
good at math.
That's insane. No wonder all of our machines were like having trouble and stuff like that. That's crazy.
I think I ended up getting them broken down in the 5 parts because you're only doing, the 5 parts of the image sequences. I think I got each one as a zip file under 20 gigs. Just still pretty friggin' heavy, times 5. It's like, oh, that's a huge file.
Yeah.
So.
But still, like 20 gigs, it's like, okay, my machines can handle that,
Mm-hmm.
The other day I was gonna send something. I had some Houdini stuff that I was looking at sending to the network, and so I get on the Slack channel. I was like, hey, what's the maximum size I should probably send? And they're like, well, typically we try and keep it between 6 and 9 gigs. And I'm like, oh, this one's a 90 gig file.
Oh, shoot.
So I was like, well, maybe I won't use the network right now, and stuff like that. Yeah. So
it's annoying, but it does work.
I've done that before because, like breaking it up into multiple things. Like there's been a few times where it's like, okay, this one has like massive VDBs and like, Alembic files and stuff. So like I'll split it up and like delete the ones that I don't need, so that it will actually, because the thing is like, and this is something that I've talked to the render team about. It's like, it would be really cool to only have to load those specific files, or like
be
a layering
system,
it's like when I upload it to the render network, it sees the individual VDB or the individual Alembic frame that is with it, and so only has to send those to the node operators, which would be great. But
no, that's awesome.
Anyway, yeah.
I know. Another render dramatic person was Josh Pierce's work, which was another big environmental one.
Yeah.
if you've seen it or you haven't seen it, there was a lot of VDBs. And I think
Yeah.
that it was like 47 or some really
Let's
intense
see.
number.
So
And they
this
were
one
doing
is
like,
Josh's work. Yeah, I've got this. Oh, I don't have you. Here, let me share my screen with you so that you can see. There we
oh
go.
yeah, gotta
Yeah, yeah.
have the art up.
Right.
Yeah, there we go. But so I guess I want to say they were all hands on deck on the back end team, which, you know, shout out to all those guys. They're so awesome and smart.
They
But
really
they,
were.
they were like,
Yeah.
why is I think they were saying like on one of their most powerful node systems or machines or whatever that it was like 2 hours a frame, and it's like, well, that's not feasible, especially when you're looking
Yeah.
at 5400 frames.
Yeah.
They had to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
some crazy wizardry with breaking up his scene to get it optimized, I guess.
Whoops, wrong one. There we go.
More promo.
Right. No, yeah, like I remember they did end up onboarding a bunch more render node operators because of it. You
Yeah.
know, like they needed the extra power and stuff. You know, the hard thing is yeah, you know, it's as a node operator. The thing is, I see it from all sides. I see it as an artist because I freaking love the network, and it's especially when you're dealing with octane scenes. It's a little bit more expensive when you're dealing with redshift scenes because Maxon wants its cut, you know. But when you're
Gotcha.
yeah, when you're sending octane scenes, it's like it's so super cheap, you know. Like I've been working on this project the past few weeks where it's like this, you know, 3D maze and stuff like that, and doing like close-ups, and I'm doing very Blake Kathryn inspired, you know, refractions and reflections and stuff like that. I told you you're one of my favorite artists. Actually, at ABC the other day, someone were working on a project, and I was like, I need more iridescence, and then I literally sent them some of your renders, and I said I need it to look like this.
And half the time, whenever I do an animation, even if it's a personal, no, like TJ will sit there and he's like, "Can it just be less shiny? Like you're killing it. Like you're killing the office like heat system." And it's like, yeah, my bad.
That's funny. Y'all need to move somewhere cold.
I know. I need to go to the Arctic. That's like
Right.
apparently where I need to go.
That's hilarious. But yeah,
Oh
no,
my God.
like I see it from both sides. You know, as an artist, I love using the network, and then as a node operator, it's nice getting paid to like help other artists out and stuff like that. But man, when it gets crazy, I will say, you know, I feel bad for the guys over at the Render Foundation because they were dealing with a lot of anger probably from both sides.
Oh, yeah. I think that it was mostly just stress management versus
Yeah.
anger for people because everyone's in the same boat. Like everyone was
Yeah.
stressed out about getting it out, except for like, you know, probably like 20% were overachievers and already had it done.
Yeah.
But there's always that 20%. Dang. Like I think Massey's team did a really good job, and I think that they were one of the less stressful people.
Mhm.
But they're also their own technical challenge because the only group that was using Blender for the render network. And I
Yeah.
believe that's a newer feature.
It is a newer feature, and I think the biggest problem that like they kind of ran into some issues with some of these massive Blender files and stuff like that, especially. And don't quote me on this. This is just what I experienced, and from this talk
Bible.
in that. Yeah, don't quote me on it. But I know some of the Blender jobs on the network were giving us issues because like it would run on the CPU for like, you know, 20 minutes to an hour, and you're like, why is it running CPU? Well, it's the denoise that comes along with Blender, you know, uses CPU.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh shoot, you know, we'd have zero GPU, and then all of a sudden it would start rendering, and it would render for like 5 minutes maybe, you know. It's pretpretty crazy.
And it's just one of those like, it's where like the technical stuff, it's like 90% of the work, like the art's done, now the rest of the 90% of the work, which is just
100%.
troubleshooting. Like just troubleshooting random problems.
Yep. Just waiting on
Oh,
renders. Did you have like your Dropbox linked to the render network so it would automatically download and stuff like that?
I literally learned that trick during this project because
Yeah.
I think it was Dino or something. Dino or Chris or someone was sitting there and they were like, "No, you like need to do it this way or you will die from download speeds."
100%.
And I was like, "This is so much better. Like this is so much better."
Yeah.
Especially because even though I was doing compressed DXRs, I mean, at that resolution, there's still huge
Yeah.
files. And so our internet was just operating like it was the 90s for like a week while we got everything in here.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I have, and they recently, just like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, added the ability to, because it used to like download as like a really random number,
Yeah.
alphanumeric thing or something, but now they added the ability to actually name your folder ahead of time, so it
Oh, I
makes
wonder if is that like super
it's
new?
super new. It's like just
Okay,
within
I
the
was gonna
past
say,
few
'cause that would have been
weeks.
useful for me.
I know, right?
Like, I didn't know that feature either.
Yeah.
Yay.
So being able to do that, it's super great because like as I'm iterating, I can see in my Dropbox, okay, this is an older version, this is a newer version, and I'm versioning up all my different renders and stuff like that. It's pretty nice. Yeah.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I like this is my second time working with Artech House, and what was hilarious is the first time my perspective onboarding was weird because I was just doing a square room in a rectangular room. So me and TJ we basically put the whole scene in a null, and TJ did some math on the X or the Z scale, and it
Yeah.
made it perfectly warped to the rectangular shape without distortion.
Oh,
But that
cool.
was our big like troubleshoot. So the first time around, the art was more like it was a fun animation still, but it was a much more simplistic, geometric heavy, no nature kind of design.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just testing like, and this was over Christmas to New Year's. So of course we're also being the jerks that are forcing people to have to test stuff over the holidays.
Yeah.
And it was like, I want to say they tested it 27 times, and like the 27th club was
Yeah.
finally when the art piece was right.
Yeah.
And then the delivery, I just had to overnight a hard drive because it was during the LA fires and everyone's internet and stuff was
Jeez.
weird. So I was like, this is dramatic in the final moments, but not really the rendering moments so much. And then in this one, we were like, art's done so in advance, and we have this whole system. Overnight a drive again, and then nope. I was like, this has to be a digital delivery. These renders are taking forever. After Effects hates this, so
Jeez.
it's funny that it's like you can do the exact same kind of vibe, slightly different brief, and then you just run into different obstacles.
Yeah. Yeah, and dealing with the multiple times having to check that it looks right. Like getting that perspective correct on any sort of like projection mapping or anything like that. That is key, because if you mess that up, it totally ruins the illusion completely.
Yeah. And even then, like it's super small grievance, but like when we were mapping it, I like was like, okay, this looks great in all the mock-ups. And then when it went live, I'm just sad because like I designed a whole 360, even though you can only see 270 or 180-ish to 270-ish of it. But I designed the whole thing because once our contract with them is up, I like to put it available for VR or whatever. And I'm like, there's so many pretty details that are cut off right where the staircase starts. And I was like, oh, I thought it was like a couple inches past the staircase, and I wasn't. But all the important stuff is there, so it's good.
Yeah. How was like compositing? How did you do 18K in After Effects? I didn't think After Effects did 18K. Did you have to break it up into multiple compositions?
No, it just was slow. If anyone was at Camp Mograph, me and T were very frequently on our laptops, unfortunately, hours. And we were using, Chrome Remote In?
Yeah.
That Byron taught us about, which was awesome because for some reason Parasec wasn't working, and then Team Remote Viewer, Remote Team, whatever, wasn't working. And I was like, this must be a weird camp Wi-Fi problem. I don't know. And then Chrome did. But so laptop definitely couldn't handle it. And so we instead would go to my home spaceship.
Yeah.
I think this was right before the GPU died. And so I think with the double GPUs, I was able to you couldn't get playback, but you could just go frame by frame, wait 15 to 20 seconds, get your refresh.
Jeez.
And this was one of the few pieces that's actually put a good habit in the work I've been doing since, where I'm now starting to bake in the render as much as I can, because I knew going in that this was going to be terrible to comp in, and also perspective wise. Like I don't want to have to work with the VR camera in After Effects. I want it to just already be perspectively correct.
Yeah.
So with like Alicia's thing, obviously the image sequence was really difficult and heavy and caused a lot of glitching in the render at first. but it would have looked very janky and distorted, I think, if we had tried to just eyeball it in After Effects.
Yeah.
And it still would have been a heavy file because it's still an EXR, 18K base that you're working off of. So really, it was just some levels, some glow effects, a little bit of hue saturation, or like we use lumetri
Yeah.
usually for color correction, and adding in very, very subtle things like that.
Yeah.
Basically, adjustment layers.
That's super nice. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's like, so at ABC they kind of like really stress, because we we do great work and we do it quickly, and so our kind of philosophy is like, get it all in camera, do as little comping as possible, because if you can get it all done in camera and maybe just have some slight hue saturation, curve adjustments or whatever after the fact, it's like, it saves so much time. And especially if someone else is hopping into your project afterwards, you don't want to have like, AOVs and, multiple layers of compositing and stuff like that. It's pretty rough. Yeah.
Yeah, we did do that was probably the most demanding thing, is we did do a fake atmosphere to save render times via a Z depth pass.
Yeah.
And then I just had like a really simple RGB puzzle mat just to do some isolated color correction.
Cool.
Because it's emotion and I'm not going to roto or pen tool all of that. I would die.
Yeah, seriously. What did you try doing any tests locally to see how long the render times were?
Oh, my computer, again, I think the GPU was already, the second one was already on the fritz, but it just would go, it wouldn't even do the blue screen of death. It would just go full black, and my computer would just turn half on, half off. And I was like, I think I'm gonna like explode my computer if I try to render this here. So it could handle the half res.
Yeah.
So if I did like high end tests for Artech House to test before we were doing animation renders, I was able to do like one or two like that way.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just purely from size too, not even textures this time, because I was kind of a good girl. I don't think I used any subsurface scattering. I faked it all just by using weird little roughnesses and reflections and texture, like mixed textures. And I used a very small amount of refractions and transmissions because add the render time.
Yeah.
But Alicia's work is so flat and deep all at once, being an inky piece, like being an inky aesthetic. It didn't really make sense to make the water look super realistically water.
Yeah.
So I think instead of
water,
transmission, I literally just did like 90% opacity or something in the saturation in post.
That's awesome. What was the inspiration? I think I heard you talking about it on like Instagram or something like that. The inspiration behind this, was it a Ghibli film or something?
So
or did I dream that? I might have dreamt that.
No, you did not dream. It's funny you say that. So we made our own mood boards, and then when we I like combine them and I put them in colored buckets, like being like, this of what you pulled and this of what I pulled matches each other somehow thematically. This matches each other thematically, and that's kind of how I like to always mood board. And so we had like 4 big buckets. And then we kind of realized that it was a very Castle in the Sky adjacent, but future and way more neon, you took too much acid vomit kind of vibe. And so we were like, oh, it's kind of like giving futuristic, like Castle in the Sky, like once they're past all the pirate stuff and they're actually in the castle.
Yeah.
So we kind of did that with like the idea of it being a river. And if you do see the full 360 eventually, when it's available to see that way, like everything like just goes into these topiary blobs and mountainscapes like around the whole thing, so you feel like you're in a valley, which is a fun feel to it. There's like a lake that's not available in the gallery, but it's behind whenever it's VR ready. So we basically just made like a fun nature kind of like ruins, but they don't really make sense. Like we weren't trying to do a world build, oh there's like religious like icons or this or that. We were like, we want this to feel very like surreal, non-branded, just kind of like you are in a dream, fever dream kind of space, and there's these like old relics that are clustered around randomly.
Yeah, it's cool. I dig it. I love your work. I think your work is fantastic. Like it's and I've probably said this before either to you or on the show, but your work is so uniquely you. and no one else can replicate the type of work that you do, you know, or people will try, but they can't do it as well as you do.
Well, thank you. That is very high
Yeah.
praise. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, with how my work, I continue to attempt to be better with each piece I do. Because I feel like the more I hit 10 years of learning 3D earlier this year in April.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I think it was like maybe about 2 years ago, I was like, I don't really want to just put stuff out for social anymore, because that was also around the time where all artists were starting to get not good social engagement anyways, like the beginning of the avalanche of like good luck.
Yeah.
And and so with that, I was like, I really want to just keep trying to push myself, because I don't want artists where they're like, oh, did she make this in 2015 or 2025? Her work hasn't evolved at all. So I
Yeah.
have been doing that same mood boarding method I just spoke about for Artech House. I like do that exercise really frequently, even just for me to be like, I need to spice up a color palette and pull a bunch of random things and then find what relationships in lighting or in color or like contrast versus complementary, and or even subject matter, and just do that kind of bucketing inspiration method. And it helps a lot with creative block, and also just making sure I'm not ripping myself off too often, if
Sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, but your style is uniquely you. You know, it's like, I
Thank
mean,
you.
yeah, you're not really ripping yourself off. You're doing what you know and you love. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to become the person who's like, she only makes or something like that.
Yeah. She only makes shiny humans.
Yeah, yeah. I also do shiny dream spaces.
Right.
Thank you.
What was the, I'm assuming it was all done in cinema.
Yes.
Um,
I used Redshift and Cinema.
okay.
Because I wanted, to this day, I don't know why, but I get a lot of glitches on my end always with Octane and being able to include mixed lights with the object IDs and stuff. Like there seems to be kind of a limit and it gets glitchy. So when I know I'm going to use a lot of light tomfoolery,
Yeah.
then I default to Redshift, because it's just never given me the same drama.
Yeah, there's I don't know how long it's been since you used it. But they did actually now include the ability to use the C40 like light
Oh, the
linking
light
and stuff.
linking.
Yeah, which is pretty
I
great.
tried that too, and it glitches out on me
Really
still.
weird.
I think it's because I do such a high
It's
quantity. I'm
probably the
pretty sure.
case. Yeah.
I think it was Mathis or Dino, the team that had been like, I think it's just like over a certain quantity lights, it starts glitching again.
Interesting.
Because I'll change one light and all of a sudden all the lights are like back to being included instead of excluded from certain things.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'll copy it to a new file and then it'll fix it. But then sometimes it'll
Weird.
re-break. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like if it's really lighting crazy, it's Redshift. And honestly, if it's not, I usually do default to Octane for a lot of stuff, because
Yeah.
I find it a little quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. What was the camera setup? Now you had mentioned, you know, you and TJ had done like a square and then a rectangular one, but was this using like a spherical camera? Because the stuff that
Both of
I've
them were
done for
spherical.
like
Yeah.
any sort of projection mapping or stuff, you just stick a spherical camera in there and then just build around it. But is that what you were doing, or was it a different type of thing because you were having to deal with actual like square dimensions and stuff?
Yeah, so the team's awesome. The Artech House team is really awesome. They had 2 camera rigs already. One is the spherical, and as long as you know your height from the floor, the spherical is just self-explanatory.
Sure.
I usually try to aim for like 5'7" of like a 5'7" person is like my default height for like a spherical camera. And then the other one was a 5 or 4 camera. Yeah, 3 walls and the floor. So a 4 camera rig that you could just do there.
Okay.
And they actually preferred the 4 camera rig delivery. So then TJ and I did a test with both, like as a clay block out, as both the spherical and the 4 camera, and the floor distortion was the same. And so we were kind of like, I'd rather just have one render that also can work as in the future and future proof that longevity of this piece, than do the 4 camera thing and it will only ever work in this gallery. And if, let's say they sent Submerge in a year or two to like their Washington DC location or something, that's different sized walls, and then you have to re-render everything, whereas the spherical you don't.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
So for me, I typically, unless it really is going to affect a piece, because every space is different, I do try to do the sphericals for immersive things like that. But you know, I've done perspective billboards, like I did the Venetians one last year, and that one it was like had to be two cameras, and then there was like a really weird vertical screen that was like around there too, and so that, and then I had to stitch those together for deliveries. And that
Yeah.
was a little more finicky, but again, it just depends on what you need to do. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. So you actually rendered it full 360 though?
yeah.
That's
Mhm. Yeah,
awesome.
the whole thing's designed. Yeah, there's you're not seeing 90 degrees of
That's
it.
crazy. That'll be
I'm
exciting when you can
very
actually
obsessed.
like release the full VR version of it, you know? Do
Yeah.
you know if the render network did the same for all the other ones, or what were you just special and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to do it this way."
I knew that it was going to be a big render regardless, because
Yeah.
even if I didn't design the back end, Alicia's this artwork is the size, so it's still doing all those rainbowy colors and you know, image sequences. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, I'm not costing it more money by just designing the back. Especially because everything was optimized. But what's it called? I know Josh Pierce also did an equal rectangular. I think Aria did the 4 cameras,
Mhm.
his collab piece with Zed and Chelsea. And then everyone else, I'm not sure. I think the Shibuya Crossing guys might have done the 4 camera, but
Uh-huh.
other than that, everyone worked kind of isolated, and we would share little work and progresses with each other, but it wasn't like we were talking like super hardcore water cooler talk.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fun. Ah, that's so cool. It's such a cool piece. Like, so is it just, and it's just I had seen something along the similar vein. Me and Andy Needham. I was up in London a few months ago, back in May, and we went to something similar to this, where something that he had worked on, where it was walls and ceilings and stuff, and like lots of
Nice.
motion. Is there with all these pieces? Because all I've seen is just like still images and stuff. Is there a whole heck of a lot of motion going on, and like did you have to worry about like, oh, this is too much motion, this is gonna make someone sick?
Yeah, so Alicia did a test. Again, the artist Malavita, my collaborator, she did a test early on, and they were like, "The speed is good." I think they were like maybe 5% faster or slower, and she was
Uh-huh.
like, "Easy," because she actually animates in Touch Designer, which I was like, everyone uses Touch
Really?
Designer so uniquely now. But then for me, I did send them like a 90 frame clay test, and I was like, okay, after 90 frames, it's just a still image. But for the sake of this test, like, can you guys tell me if the grass speed is good? Is the water rippling speed good? And they gave me more nuance, where they're like, oh, I think like the foliage needs to be 10 to 20% slower, but the water speed's great. And so it was helpful to have like them be like,
Interesting.
you're not giving anyone vertigo. And obviously, especially working with colors, like me and Alicia knew off the bat, we were like, we have to be very accessible friendly, like nothing to trigger epilepsy, because we're already delivering a lot of
Mm,
color and brightness.
yeah.
So we try to use just, we both come from very color heavy backgrounds. Like she's extremely intelligent in it. She does crazy color theory workshops and stuff. And we were just being like, we're going to make sure this is all very accessible, very colorful, but like friendly for anyone who does get motion sickness or this or that. For the other artists, there was one. Let me see if I can pull up his name while I continue to talk about it, so I'm not giving anyone shade. But there was one guy who did like really, really cool, kind of like cyber line work. Like it looked like it was maybe Houdini Sims, but I can't quite say.
It's not.
Um, I don't know if he's on that. That one was really awesome. That one was
Yeah,
really cool.
that's Josh
Um,
Pierce, I believe,
yep.
right?
Josh had a camera move at a very comfortable speed. So
Ah.
Josh is actually does like, it's like the 4 or 5 stages of something. I forget what, of
Grief.
meditation. I think it's
Oh,
like the 5
meditation.
stages of
Grief.
meditation. Yeah, not grief, thankfully. Um, but his camera moved at a very satisfying speed,
Hmm.
and then he did really slow crossfades when you hit to cue when you were in the next stage of meditation.
Yeah.
So that was cool too. This one had no camera movement; it was just people walking at a normal people
That's
speed.
really
Uh,
cool. And I love
yeah,
like the floor. It makes it feel like you're actually, are those raindrops that are hitting the ground? Yeah, that's
obviously,
so cool.
you know, probably like some slight distortion on the walls with that, unless they figured out perfectly because there's no ceiling projection. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, they killed it. This was People Pleaser and Massige, who also just won an Emmy, so good for them.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, for their studio. And then this was the one I said I think was a four camera rig.
Uh-huh.
Um, but
That's Josh. That's
yeah,
Ariev.
that's the Zed collab.
Yeah.
Also a 4 camera one, I believe.
Yeah, that looks like a 4 camera because it looks flat, perfectly flat.
Yeah,
And that
and it,
yeah.
yeah, like, and for mine again, because it was such a vast landscape, I was still in the 4 camera getting a slight distortion to where it's like, okay, if the distortion is going to be there a little bit either way, like it's not worth that effort, I don't think.
Yeah, for sure. Man. So
Yeah,
cool.
everyone did a really great job. I'm to be able to see it in a month or so.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't even seen it yet, have you?
No, because Camp
Man.
MoGraph was happening, and then also I was just like to the wire of delivering it for the gallery launch, just because again everyone was just like, it's the file delivery, it takes a while.
Yeah.
And then God, what else was yeah, and then I had to kind of immediately finish another client project. And I was like, blessed to be busy, but not blessed to like always miss seeing things be not on my phone.
Yeah.
like to see it off my phone.
Yeah, it was cool. I think there was quite a few people from Camp MoGraph who were up there actually seeing the Artech House stuff. That's really cool.
I was able to invite 5 people even if I didn't go. So I was able to get Maria, Travis, and Seth tickets from camp. And I was like, hell yeah. Like,
that's
get
awesome.
That free cocktail. That's cool art.
Yeah. That's cool. That's fun. Do you know if they're planning on doing any additional ones, or like how I don't know if you know any of the back and forth with Render Foundation and the Artech House, or was it the Render Foundation's idea in order to do this, or were they just reaching out to artists, and how did I mean, I know you've been close with the Render Network for a while. You spoke at RenderCon and stuff like that. We were on the stage together at RenderCon.
Oh my God, it was so sweaty in that stage.
Oh my gosh, yes,
it was so hot, and I like looked at the photos and I was like, I look like I came from a run and like threw on professional clothing without showering. And I'm like,
my favorite thing, I was editing together the videos for social for them, and the first thing you say is, "Thanks for joining us in the or in the hot box," or whatever.
It was so funny. Hot.
It was.
I literally was like, I really hope I like just smell okay to the people sitting beside me. Like, it's so hot.
Hilarious.
So with that professional note, the Artech House relationship. So I first got brought into it last like Thanksgiving-ish.
Okay.
For it to go live in January. So it's even tighter timeline by like a week or two.
Wow.
And holidays. So that was unfortunate. But it was basically Phil and Riki were the spearheads. So Phil from Render.
Yeah.
And then Riki is the creative director of Artech House, sorry. And I don't know how the relationship started, but I know the Artech House, I think when they first debuted, they had Rafik, the crazy data generative dude that's been one of the few guys that like does AI in the right way.
Yeah.
They had his stuff, and I want to say it was through Rafik that somehow a connective tissue came where they were like, let's do this. But I'm not sure of the lore beyond that. And then coming back for it, I don't know why I was brought back, but it was nice. So I'm glad I got to do it twice. Now they're probably sick of me and my era is over. But
that's funny. And you've done a lot of these big big massive screens and stuff like that. Like you did this, you did the Venetian, were there some other ones that I'm missing?
There was the Times Square one, there was the Berlin one. The Berlin one was more of like it wasn't super immersive. It was more of like just like we have a cool billboard that's digital in downtown Berlin for like a week, which is cool. But it wasn't like a perspective one or something like that. The Times Square one was a wraparound, so that was fun to repurpose because I just repurposed an existing art piece because it was like a collage of art, so it was just every artist had like 5 to 10 seconds.
Gotcha.
And I was like, honestly, my dream spaces are so detailed, I'm just gonna do a slow camera push and it's just gonna be still otherwise, because then by the time they notice it, it's the next artist.
Yeah.
The Venetian was a great challenge. One of my project managers, I work with Christian Holland, he was able to get us an actual perspective template. So I was able to actually do very minimal trial and error on the
That's
perspective,
awesome.
which was great. Yeah, and there was an After Effects one, so you do your render with the camera setup and go into After Effects and be like, it lines up or it
Yeah,
doesn't line
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
Because that was like a straight, like horizontal one above the clock tower, if you know what the Venetian looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to an immediate hard right angle, not curved at all, because that's the building, to a shorter one. But then it goes immediately again to a very vertical piece that's still connected to it. And that I just ended up making like little like decor items that could act as the divider for like the horizontal to the tall piece.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because every space like it demands something different of you to consider, whether it's scale, perspective. Sometimes you have to fake it. Like when I did I worked on some visuals for Montero's tour, his last tour, which I think was Long Live Montero,
Mm-hmm.
and previously Lil Nas X. And
Oh,
they
okay.
had a screen that they had a big background screen, which was easy to design for. It's just a big horizontal cinematic background screen. But then they had a vertical screen that came up, and that's where all the choreography and the dancers would come out from.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to design for the scale that felt right for the dancers on the background scene, but then for the foreground scene where the dancers would come out between, everything had to be scaled smaller because it was closer to the audience. So it was
Interesting.
like the scene itself, like, because it's one file and
Yeah.
I just spliced it in After Effects. So the scene itself makes it look like I like shrunk as a human as I designed it and just started making miniature doll like assets.
That's funny.
But it actually looked accurate when it was on display.
That's super cool. That's super cool. How are you getting all this work? Like how are people like, I mean, you're very well known in the space. At least I assume because I know you well, and I know your work and stuff like that. And you have a very distinct style. So are people just reaching out to you? Are you, doing networking stuff or someone's like, hey, I know the perfect person or whatever. Like,
It's a mix. I'm like very much still like guerrilla marketing never left my lifestyle. I
yeah.
am still in person, online, like I'm very, very present. Back in the day when social media worked better, a lot of it was directly through social. Now, and I've been working with my agency since 2017, and they just
Cool.
represent us, and it's a very one-on-one, and we scale up a project if we need more people on deck,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. A lot goes through Hannah, which is H Plus Creative. In the past 2 years, because our industry's been having a super fun time not making money.
Yeah.
So in the last 2 years, it's been almost completely networking. As we were chatting about at camp and even earlier today, like I work with Dropout TV a ton.
Yeah.
I'm friends with the art director. I'm obviously partners with TJ who works there. And most of their motion people at this point too.
Yeah.
So I've been able to work on those TV shows, which has been really bread and butter for me for the past year. If for anyone who knows Dropout, I've worked on Dirty Laundry, VIP, Game Changer, and other one that I forgot the name of already.
Mm-hmm.
So like basically 3 or 4 shows that I rotate between. D20.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what's it called? But outside of that, like I'm just constantly being like, yes, let's get coffee. Like, when I'm not in networking mood, like it takes a lot for me to leave my little LA shell. I go like kind of introvert mode.
Uh-huh.
And so, but it's like, nope, I am as social as needed to be. If someone's in town, I want to get dinner or coffee with
Yeah.
them or something like,
Yeah.
and it really makes a huge difference to just put a face and a personality too. Cause I
Yeah.
think you don't know the professionalism of someone either by just saying, yo, what's up? Like in a DM. So
I mean, I would assume if someone's saying, yo, what's up, I probably wouldn't answer the DM.
I don't.
Maybe that's my problem. That's
And
why
also
I'm not
there's
getting
so
these
many
big
scams
gigs.
nowadays. But it's like all the scams too. It's like I don't even know. Like I had someone like send me a text. I knew it was fake because I was like, my phone number is not listed online. So like the
Yeah.
fact that you texted me, I know you're like a bot. And they were like, we're from George Lucas's studio and we want to hire world building. I'm like, you're using the right words, but F bot. Like I know for a fact you're not real.
Yeah.
So goodbye.
I bet it's got to be pretty hard too, coming from the NFT space, because you did really well in the NFT space, until NFTs kind of died. It's all right. I still have a bunch of your artwork, right? you know.
Oh, thanks. I
Um,
honestly haven't sold any of them because before I could sell them. So I know I'm like, oh, I have such a great collection. I so totally support people. And now I'm like, 2 years into like recession vibes of like, I should have spent less money. Like I should have
I
saved more
honestly
money.
think I would like to see. I'm probably the only person, maybe, or a handful of people that still thinks NFTs are cool, you know,
You
because like
exist. Wow.
the like no, seriously, like the number of artists that I've always wanted to like collect their work and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know, all my friends are digital artists. They all make like video artwork and stuff like that. You know, it's like I would love to own that. And I thought the idea of NFTs were always really cool. It's just, then you get the scammers,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you probably still deal with the scammers having, had a successful career in NFTs early on.
I don't know. I feel like because I didn't do the personality choice that some people did, was become a shiller. I think because I
Yeah.
got out when I was seeing that it was becoming tech bro and not the cute tech bro, but the not great
Yeah.
side. I kind of slowly just was like, because I was still doing client work the entire time. I
Yeah.
never stopped doing client work. And I would even be on some clubhouses, if you remember those back in
I
the day,
do. Yeah.
or Twitter spaces. Ooh, fear. But I would be on those and I would hear some artists be like, now I never have to work for anyone again. And I was like, that's very bold of
That
you to
is, yep,
assume.
yep.
Like I'm really if that happens for you.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think that happens to most people. So I definitely just kept my head to the ground and was like, there's good years and there's bad years.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, because if I did not overwork myself for those couple of years when it was really good, I would be doing, no joke, like some hourly gig work right now.
Yeah.
Like it would be very difficult for the past 2 years.
Yeah. That's rough. That's
Yeah. And if you feel like,
You know-
you just got a job, my work's been picking up, and I'm like, I'm hoping this is for real, finally, the getting out of the trenches.
I think so too. Like I noticed, like, around the election last year, like,
Yeah.
work just died. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
everyone
Re-died.
what?
It like re-died for me. It was
Oh,
like
yeah.
starting to pick up, and then it
Yeah.
just like boom boom.
100%. And it's like it took me, I think everyone was nervous about what was going to happen, after the election. And, things are crazy, but at
Yeah.
least at least, consumerism keeps on going strongly.
Yeah.
The anyway. But so it wasn't until like March that I started steadily picking up work again, and this
Yeah.
has been, and so since then, it's been one of my best years that I've had, minus the year I sold my Beeple, and made
Yeah.
a ton of money.
I should have sold mine when it was juicy. Now I'm like in the long con of will
Man.
I? Will I ever get to?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I got the luckiest out of every person who ever owned a Beeple. I mean, yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty good year, and now, like, I'm excited because I'm starting a full-time job, at ABC, which is great. Really excited to be on there, and it's like, okay, cool. And that was one thing, Barton was like, we want to make sure that Barton is, I've been friends with him for like 10 years. And it's something that I really respect about him, is that he'll always bring people on. If he ever considers hiring them, he brings them on freelance for a while first. He wants to make sure that they're going to be a good fit and everything like that, and so like I did a stint last year and then did the stint this year, and like I was like, hey, I'm okay with being freelance if that's what you want to do, and he's like, no, my whole goal is to hire you. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's great.
excited. Yeah.
I love that.
But but he wanted to make sure that like that the work was there, or that there was enough to where like, oh, I hired you, but now I gotta let you go like 2 months later because the work's not there, like,
Which does happen.
it does. Yeah.
So yeah.
But that's something that Barton has always like talked about. It's, I don't know. Yeah.
No,
Talk to
I
me.
I love that too. Like, I mean, again, I've been freelance for 10 years now, and and I'm not like this year I've written like I don't even know how many cover letters. Like, I'm not stubbornly freelance. Like with the market and the world this year being super difficult income wise, I was applying for jobs every single day, multiple times, and got no callbacks because again it's just you're just an online PDF of an or a
Yes.
whatever Glassdoor, Greenhouse, or whatever those hiring apps are that are all bots. You're never going to
Yeah.
actually get seen. And so it's like to be able to have people that will have you on and off like permalance or part-time permalance
Yeah.
is such a blessing. And again,
Yeah.
that's been dropped out for me,
And
so like thank God.
it's so hard. It's like there's such a fine line. I this is why I 100% believe in like human to human contact or human to human
Hmm.
talking, because at no point have I ever gotten a job like whether it be full-time or whatever by sending off a resume ever in my life,
Me
you know?
neither.
Yes.
Ever, not even as a baby.
Ever. Yes. And it's like
But-
I have never gotten a job by sending off a resume, and I think between last year and this year, up until like I kind of stopped looking, I probably sent 500 to 600 resumes. You know, was
You're
paying
ahead of me,
for.
but not by much.
I was paying for like these things that would spruce up your resume and like help you auto insert everything. So like I was doing a ridiculous amount, you know, but it's
Yeah.
like literally all I had to do was go up to my friend of 10 years and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a full-time job." And he's like, "All right, let's figure it out." You know?
Yeah.
Or it's like it's that's why this community is so important and networking is so important. And I feel like after COVID, like it just died, you know? The
It was a
community
slow
especially.
trickle, but it was definitely
Yeah.
linked to that. Because I feel like all of us, don't think I'm falsely remembering your experience, but if so, correct me. But I feel like everyone in our industry killed it in COVID because no one could do live production, so
Yeah.
everything went digital. And I like that year for lockdown because LA had the proper like 12 months like damn let us back outside lockdown.
Yeah.
I think I earned 2 years salary in 1 year, and I
Yeah.
was like, and it was a nice one, and it was like, oh, and this was pre NFTs. This was like definitely just normal client work, and it was. I want to say every single one of those jobs, they literally started it not even with, oh, so excited to work with you, love your work. No, no, no. They started with like, so this was supposed to be a video shoot or
Yeah.
a photo shoot, but you're okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, let me be okay.
Yeah.
Pay me.
Yeah. Me and
But then
Dave.
yeah, after that it was like the slow, we had the brief like crazy tech boom era thing, and then the beautiful descent into hell.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's been. I love what James said in the chat. He said, networking is important and also gross. I 100% agree with that, but it is also extremely important. Almost more important than gross. And like the thing is, like, it
Almost
doesn't
more important.
have to be gross. It doesn't have to be gross. You know, all it is literally having a conversation with. And that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing that I really like about our industry. It's like going to events like Camp MoGraph or Half Res or something. You're talking the same language,
You're
you
fist
know?
bumping,
Yeah.
it's chill, you're clinking a brewski. It's
Yeah.
I used to do networking when I lived in New York. I would go to so many events. I was graphic design then. I hadn't really started my 3D journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the Art Directors Guild. I would just go to their screenings and steal a bunch of cheese because they had cheese wine there. And I was like, four. And I was like, my networking is I don't leave the cheese platter, and someone else will come and talk to me because they also want to hover around the cheese platter. But we ended up meeting like me and my colleagues back in the day, like we ended up meeting really cool people through there. Like you had said how you'd never been hired like from an like proper process. Like I got recruited in person out of college. I went to like one of those job fairs where you just interview everywhere, and one worked.
Yeah.
And then when I quit, like I one time while working there, which was Macy's, I had we were collaborating. Our team was collaborating with JWT. I think that's the agency's name.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the Madison Ave. They're one of the big boys.
Okay.
And I got really well, like me and this girl just clicked there, and she was doing design stuff for our team. And then we got swindled where the agent forced us to work, and we're like, wait, we're the clients. Like, why are we also here till 3 a.m. like working? But whatever.
Yeah.
This is like 1 week, so I'm not going to like be a stink about it. And she specifically, when she left the agency, is how I got the next job, which was at a tech startup, and was able to then earn even better because Macy's was very modest earnings. It's retail.
Right.
And so to go from retail to tech, that was also just an amazing culture shift and everything as well. But it's always been through people.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
100%. That's why you got to go to these meetups and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
When are you going to New York?
I want to go either, let's see, because we're going, TJ and I are actually going to Vegas for a half work trip.
Nice.
There's a D20 show, and so we get to go to the MGM live
Like
showing
the arena?
of D20. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
That's so cool.
So we're gonna go to that, and then I want to network while I'm there. There's this new immersive gallery. It looks kind of smaller, but it opens somewhere adjacent to the strip, if not on the strip. So I'm gonna go there and see if I can get anyone's contact info and be like, "Hello, my website. Like, please let me do immersive stuff here." And same with going to like the stuff I love doing, like the Neon Sign Museum and all. But anyways, long tangent. I'm going to go to New York, probably not at the beginning of November because that's all Halloween weekend. So I'm thinking like the week before Thanksgiving.
Okay. I was gonna say
if you're going before Thanksgiving, right?
No, well, yes. My wife has always wanted to see the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I was planning on going to Node Fest, but we had to cancel our New York City trip last week. My kid got COVID, so I had to cancel everything, which is such a shame. I was really upset. So we may end up going that week. I'm sorry to my Australian friends. I probably won't make it out to Node as much as I wanted to. Maybe next year.
All in the name of a parade.
I know. But
actually,
I'm also
a fun
going.
Fact, the guy that announces, I think he's doing it this year too. But the main like younger MC for the parade is from my college, my ex-mentor and ex-art director or co-art director. So, but now he's like gotten bougie enough at Macy's to be like the MC of the parade.
That's hilarious.
That's really
we're going for the XR Motion Conference. Like, I'll be going there at the end of October. I think it's the 25th, so in a few weeks. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. I get there on the 24th, then I'm out on the 26th, but I may try and hit up Artech House, because I think I fly out.
I can get you a discount, so...
Nice.
Yeah, just let me know and I can get you a discount at least. Free tickets are expired now because it's past premiere week. But
I'll just hit up Phil. I'll be like, Phil, come on, bro. Dude, like, I rendered this stuff. I burned a $1,200 graphics card, on this job. Come on, hook me up.
Yeah, this is a $1,200 ticket that I want reimbursed. Right. Thank you.
He'll be like, no, the Render Network paid you for your work. You're fine.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm like re-looking at my computer, just being like, with the one dead, I know this is now the ticking time bomb of like, I need a lot of good client projects to come in so I can get her back in action.
I will say the 50 series cards though, like those 5070s, they're relatively cheap and they're all right. Like I'm rocking dual 3090s still on my main machine.
That was me.
Yeah, and it's like for like 25070s or 25080s, you get basically, well, you don't get the same amount of VRAM, but you get the same amount of speed. I don't know about you. I mean, nice. If you're throwing 24 gig times 2 textures at it, it won't work.
Yeah, I do think VRAM's a non-negotiable for me. Unfortunately, I think it is. Yeah.
Well, good luck trying to find a 5090 because those things aren't. I can't find those anywhere.
Well, I am not that lucrative yet to replace these babies, so we're gonna do something else first.
That's funny.
But honestly, the
James says the VRAM's not worth it. I don't know.
Who's saying that?
James is saying the VRAM isn't worth it.
Have I been lied to all this time? Oh my God.
I don't think I've ever hit my VRAM limit. I don't think I've ever hit my VRAM limit.
I know for Artech House.
I'm sure you did, yeah.
That was it. Hence its deceasedness.
That's funny, yeah. Yeah, like Chris said, the 3090 and the Render Network is all I'll ever need, It's like, I've been throwing... It's so funny because I bought a Mac Studio last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago. I bought one of the
Mhm.
M1 Ultra Max Studios, and it became my main machine. Like, it's the one that I work on every single
Nice.
day. And so, yes, I bought it as soon as Octane released cross compatibility with Mac and PC. So I knew that I could use all my
Smart.
PCs, you know, but then I started using the render network and just started throwing all my jobs to the render network because it was so cheap. And
Yeah.
I would set all my computers as render nodes, so it's like I'm actually making more money as a render node than
You're like
actually
a coupon
than what
guy.
I'm
Yeah.
spending on doing stuff, or it about breaks even, you know?
Yeah, I like that you're like rigging the system. This is very
Right?
nice.
So,
What's it called? Yeah, my thing is like for big projects, I definitely don't mind using the render network. But like when I do personal works, like that's where it's like I want my home machine because why am I going out of pocket for something that's just for me or for a gallery
yeah.
where it's not for sale anyways? It's just like a one-time thing or something.
Yeah,
So it's
for
like
sure.
finding that balance, and that's where having the double cards is so great because I just don't want to go out of pocket for things that are, either for myself or just like minimal budget.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
especially doing like I did like just a stupid piece for myself, like a fake shoe ad, for
Mhm.
Converse All Stars because I love Converse, and
Hell
so
yeah.
I was like, I want this really high poly or like really high detailed Converse All Star shoe, but it was like $100 on Turbo Squid, and it's like, oh, I'm just trying to fill out my
Yeah.
demo reel. It ended up looking good, but it's like, man, I just spent $100 on this, or it was like
I know.
$150 for a DeLorean because the
Yeah.
intro of my thing has a DeLorean like going, and it's like, all right, I've just spent like $200 on my demo reel just for
Yeah.
models and stuff.
When it's product stuff or like, very clearly like has a very intense structure kind of things, I still am like, I gotta bite the bullet and I have to get the best asset and I have
Yep.
to make sure it doesn't look janky in the UVs before I buy it and regret it. But when anything's organic now, I can usually get the really cheap models and then just fix it in ZBrush,
Oh,
which is
that's
great.
cool. Yeah, you're
Um,
also pretty heavily in ZBrush, aren't you?
I don't know how to do shit in there. I can just sculpt. I don't know what the menus are still. I know how to do brushes. I know how
All
to
right.
sculpt and I know how to export.
That's
And that is
hilarious.
like,
That's really
but
funny.
it's like luckily I have like a big Wacom, like I don't know how big, but a very large Wacom that I'd go standing desk and I'll just like sculpt on it.
Nice.
And because of that, I think that the muscle memory of just also being from art school back in the day and all of that, that it just doesn't feel super unnatural.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I see someone like Steve Teeps and he's like, oh, and you press these 3 buttons and it's
Yeah, I
done. And I'm
know.
like, do it again
Yeah.
4
Well,
times.
you're only looking at the best in the industry,
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, oh. Yeah, I know. That's
yeah.
me too when I'm watching Patrick Fordy's like, daily live streams and stuff like that. He's like,
Oh yeah,
making these super photorealistic food, and I'm just like, dude, like you make it look so easy. It's like,
I know.
yeah.
Like, and they're doing a time lapse where you're like, you're not even lying to me. There's no cuts in here. You're
Yeah,
just really
right?
good at it. Like, dare you?
That's so funny. That's funny.
That's my fascination with Houdini people, because I have one of my rare fun facts now is this year I read the full Houdini manual. I was like, I'm gonna learn
Really?
it. So I read it. Yeah. Me and a friend were honor systems and we're like, let's read Houdini and learn it this year. And then I opened it and tried to do the easiest tutorial and I closed it and I did not reopen it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think so. Noseman once made this, analogy where it's like
Uh-huh.
C4D is like a staircase. You
Yeah.
slowly, go up the stairs and you're learning a little bit of a time at a time. Houdini is more like a ladder. It's like you're still going up the same and like learning the same steps, but you're having to exert a lot more energy in order to
Mhm.
like kind of learn. But
Yeah.
like once you'll hit a plateau and it's like, oh, I've learned a heck of a lot, and then you've got a whole nother ladder, there. It's
Yeah.
I've found that, so I went through, Mark Fancher's Houdini course that we sell on mograph.com.
Hey.
And it was fantastic. I felt like I learned quite a bit. By the end of it, it was like I
Mhm.
was following along really quick without having to actually pause.
That's
And
good.
so,
That's
yeah.
definitely progress. So
But then again, it's like there are certain there are certain fundamentals that didn't come naturally to me. You know, like attributes. Still don't feel like I fully understand attributes, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like turning stuff into VDBs, then into polygons from VDBs. It's like, that's apparently a very big thing and stuff like that. So last year I spent some time in Houdini, you know, just learning. And then this year has been like a big push on the live streams where it's like, I bought Houdini, I bought a 2-year license of it. My C4D license is expiring in November and I do not plan on like renewing, you know, unless they're doing it for like $500 for 2 years like Houdini does. You know,
the pricing's gone wild.
It's
I've
crazy.
been like forcing myself to actually learn Blender because I'm just like, I have to get off some subscriptions. Like I just do.
I can't, and you know, and like it's now with going to a full-time job. It's like, okay, I'm on a set, you know, a set amount of money every month, you know. I'm not doing freelance work anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I am on a set budget and stuff like that. And I can't throw $1,500 a year, you know, take that away from my family, you know.
Yeah.
It's like when there is a free solution right there, you know, with Blender, or only spending $400 on a Houdini license, you know, for 2 years. And so that was my whole thing. It's like, you know, I know it's expiring. I got to get into it. Yeah. And it'll also help at ABC because we're a really heavy Houdini, you know, studio and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works out well.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll still get stuck like maybe one more year with not being good enough at Blender, but I might just do the month to month when my subscription runs out, because I think mine runs out in January.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just do month to month. And if I don't have an active client needing Cinema 4D or Redshift specifically, then I'm going to do Blender with Octane.
Yeah.
Like I've already learned how to do all the lighting and texturing and I can navigate in it. I'm just so slow in it because it's again, the UI just doesn't come natural to me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if I was just as fast, I'm just as capable, but you know, it makes a personal piece go from maybe a 1 to 2 day project to like, it's going to take the full week because I'm just so slow.
Yeah. But eventually you get faster at that. You know, the biggest.
Oh, absolutely. And I think I have to, I think like my annual thing happens that it'll be like, okay, Blake, now you're like thrown into the water, swim.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me the last time I hopped into Blender was that I didn't have any MoGraph tools, you know, and it's like I wish they would build in MoGraph tools.
Their animation, someone was saying like treat it like After Effects, and I was like, I don't see the parallel of Blender's animation with After Effects personally. So I feel Cinema and After Effects are more similar to each other. So like animating in there very daunting to me. I haven't tried to learn that part yet.
And it's like, you know, with their geometry nodes and stuff like that, it's like, okay, there's a lot you can do with geometry nodes, but at that point, I'm basically just doing the same thing that I would do in Houdini. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Houdini's so powerful too, honestly. Like, I think if I was starting over and my left brain was intelligent enough to handle Houdini, I think I would pick Houdini over any of them just because the people who are good at Houdini, and it's so funny too because they're like really quiet and humble about it, but they're like, you can do literally everything in here. And then the examples, I'm like, you can do literally everything in here. This is easy. But then it's like just taunts me with its ugly like navigations and everything.
I was at work the other day and I'm like watching some tutorials and I see people using Vex, which is like the code stuff that you can build into it, and I'm like, man, I bet you Houdini people are really good at math. So I asked the guys, because I sit with 3 Houdini artists, you know, in one little cubicle area, and I'm like, are you guys really good at math? And one of the guys was like, oh yeah, I was a state math champion in my high school. And I'm like, well, no wonder you're so good at Houdini.
No, every person I've met who's really good at it is like from a developer or engineering or math background. Like, I'm good buds with, I don't know if you know the artist Adam Priester. He used to do some
sounds familiar.
I never can pronounce the artist's name, but they all Sphere, Anyma, Anma or something. They used to do like their crazy cable work and visuals for like their giant
Oh, right.
character dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like I've known him probably like 7-ish years now, and he's always been a Houdini boy. And it's like a thing where I was just like, oh, like, do you think I could get into this? And he's like, are you good at any of these 3 things? I was like, no. And he's like, it's gonna be really hard for you, but yeah, you can try. And I was like, thank you.
That's so funny.
Like, glad to know.
Yeah.
Let me down easy.
I don't know if you've seen the new 21 stuff in Houdini, but like the stuff they're doing with the cops, the compositing operator stuff is really cool. You know, Nick Scarcella, he
also sounds familiar.
Yeah, you'd probably recognize some of his work. He's also on Twitter a lot and stuff like that. He did this one thing with it was a shoe using cops and like distorting the render based off of like a texture that he built, which was so cool to me, you know. And so
I feel like I've either seen this or someone has told me about this potentially. But yeah, that sounds crazy.
It's super cool. So it's like there's, yes, like you said, you can literally do anything in Houdini. So yeah. Anyway,
maybe you'll inspire me and I'll go back to it when I'm slow again.
Yeah. You should hop on one of our Thursday night live streams and stuff, and we can just like learn Houdini together, you know?
Yeah.
Get TJ in here. We'll all 3 just like joke around and, you know, BS and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I'll learn the VDB thing first.
Yeah.
Your white whale. Just to stick it to you.
Oh, man. That's funny. All right. Well,
but yeah, no, it's an interesting time. So
yeah. I'm excited. So, we're running out of time. Blake, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being on the show. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Like I said, one of my favorite artists, and you know, I never prepare for the show because I always know like I'm having my friends on, and it's just a conversation. You know, it's great. It's good stuff.
Oh,
TJ,
nice.
there you go. See, TJ, he was the captain of his high school math team.
Okay, so TJ's gonna learn Houdini.
Yeah,
and I'll just
all right.
His shit,
all right.
and now I get to work half the amount, which will
yeah,
be
there
great.
you go. Now you can just pick his brain.
Man.
That's so funny.
No, but thank you for having me. It's always so great. We got to double catch up this past month.
Yeah,
and even saw each other earlier in the year. Like we talked about at the beginning, networking's back, baby.
Yeah, seriously.
And networking's friendship.
Yeah.
So.
That's funny. All right. Thanks to everyone for joining. Make sure to follow us on all the socials, especially YouTube and Twitch. We've been doing our MoGraph Hangouts. I've been traveling, or I was sick last week, real sick last week. So we haven't been doing the Thursday night. I'm back on Thursday night this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Those are Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central. We've got a ton of upcoming guests. We're doing a live stream on the 30th of this month with the guys from Notch. I got to hang out with them at Half Res. Really cool, exciting stuff. So they're gonna kind of like do like a little show and tell on Notch, one of these live streams. So excited about that. We're also gonna have them on the show in a couple months when they're doing some new releases or have some stuff to announce, which is exciting. Nick Scarcella is gonna be on the show a little bit later. I gotta find someone for the next couple weeks. We'll figure it out. You know, with the new time and stuff like that, it's kind of been all over the place. But yeah, excited to get back into things. So yeah, make sure and show up for those. If you're not a part of the newsletter, go to mograph.com and sign up for the newsletter down at the bottom. That'll give you all the upcoming guests and like stuff that you might have missed out on, and you know, new exciting things. If we've got new, you know, communities or groups or stuff like that, or if we're running contests, make sure to sign up for that. That's great. Also, if you haven't done it already, make sure to sign up for your very own mograph.com account. It's a one-stop shop for everything a motion designer needs. You can showcase your demo reel, projects you've worked on, post jobs, apply for jobs, sell your digital goods for and for a much cheaper commission cost as than Gumroad. We are way, like, if you're selling stuff, if you're selling digital goods, you need to be selling them on MoGraph, because we charge a fraction of what Gumroad does, because we're more community based and our overhead is so low. It doesn't even matter, you know. Sell stuff on our site. Anyway, Yeah, you can also find meetup groups or start one of your own. And so much more is planned. We're super excited about it. We're about to launch a new back end to the site here soon, hopefully, that's going to help us evolve into this new and exciting mograph.com. So make sure and sign up. We just hit like 850 members, which is so awesome. Yeah, and we're still growing every day. We're getting new artists on. And we're an artist first site where your work will always be yours and never fed to the AI machines. And as of right now, like, there's no advertising. You know, we've been playing around with the idea of keeping mograph.com as a, you know, artist first site, actually maybe even like artist supported site, so that you don't have to deal with all the ads and crazy shit in your feed and like AI fake people and stuff like that in your feed, where you can just like post stuff. Like, yeah. So stop feeding Zuck's AI machine and start posting on mograph.com. Anyway.
Boom.
Blake, where can people find you online if they're looking for you?
My name, which is in this lower kind of third,
Yes.
it is everywhere. I have secured Blake Kathryn across all the world. So that.
Have you secured all the spellings of it too? Because people are gonna mess that up. There's a Y.
That's okay. I require a form of literacy to like be able to follow me.
Here, I'm gonna Google it with a misspelling.
Yeah, Starbucks spells it Bleke. Matthias thinks it's always Balake.
Yeah, I know.
There's A's in there. I've been called just straight up Black, Blak. So I was like, okay. I don't know how E got lost.
Ooh,
in translation.
there's.
That's
Do you
cool.
know there's a Kathryn Blake who's an author?
Shit. I hope she's cool.
That's funny. Oh yeah, if you misspell Kathryn as whatever, it still brings you to you. So yeah, just search for Blake Kathryn.
I forget Kathryn is actually the one that's more commonly misspelled. I'm just so used to people somehow messing up the easiest first name ever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My wife's name is Amy, and she's mad because the new generation doesn't know Amy as AMY. It's always AMEEE or AMIEE.
There's like double E Amy's?
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah. And it's
People
like
got too experimental with spellings. like wasn't it just like a decade ago everyone's last name that like a little like Southern Belle girl was, it ended with a lay, like Michaela or Kaylee. Or there's too many. There's so many. And I was like, guys, originality.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. All right. Yeah. So Blake Kathryn online. Thanks to everyone for hanging out. And I forget how to end this. I'm Matt, and you're Blake, and your video camera just got messed up. But that's all right. Weird. Later, yo.
It's over.
Pretty good, I guess.